friends, welcome back to the vlog. In today's video, we're going to be doing a bit more of like a chatty video where we are going to talk about getting back into reading as an adult. So I was a big reader whenever I was in like elementary and middle school, like take a book home, read it all, stay up all night long and read it, and then come back and return it to the library or go to the bookstore and buy a new book, read it in a day or two, and then needing another one, right? And then when I was in high school and college, I was in a more sort of rigorous academic program. All the free time that I spent reading in elementary and middle school, I was now spending doing like homework, or the books that I was reading for school. And so I kind of stopped reading for fun. And over the past couple years, I have sort of rediscovered my passion for reading sort of like fantasy, and I've stepped into romance, which I never used to read before, and just sort of broadened my horizons and also became sort of addicted to reading. I want to share with you sort of the steps that I took to becoming someone who reads more now as a 25, almost 26-year-old person. I should preface by saying that I never stopped reading like manga and graphic novels and comics and things like that. Throughout all the years, I always kept up with things like One Piece, and I read Naruto when I was in school. I've always been a huge manga and anime nerd, and so that is a consistency. I always continued to read manga as they came out. I had the like Shonen Jump app and would read them as they came out, so not talking about her. So my first tip to someone who is looking to get back into reading as an adult would be to think about the books that were your favorite when you were young and maybe reread those. When I first started getting back into rereading, I had never read the Percy Jackson books when I was young, and I knew that they were super popular, so I was like, hey, now's the time, I'm gonna read the Percy Jackson books. Or I reread the Harry Potter books, which I know J.K. Rowling is horrifying. However, I already owned all the Harry Potter books, so it wasn't like I was giving her more money. You know what I mean? But my suggestion to that would be to reread a book that you absolutely loved when you were young. And then, that leads to my like 1.5, is a simple Google search of books like Harry Potter or books like Percy Jackson for adults, or, you know, something to the effect of that. And you will get recommended books that are similar, have similar vibes. I read the Aragon books whenever I was young, and I literally Googled books like Aragon for adults, and then you get something like Fourth Wing that might come up, or you know, if you're into the like sort of like high fantasy romance, you might get the ACOTAR books, you know, so those are very popular. But that is to say, if you are reading something with similar themes, similar writing styles, similar characters and plot points to things that you were obsessed with when you were young as a reader, you're gonna buy into it a lot more as an adult. My next tip is don't count out audiobooks. There's this weird discourse about whether listening to audiobooks is the same as reading books, and in my opinion, you're still consuming the media, so people who are like book purists and think audiobooks don't count, you're silly. We're adults, we're busy, you might have a day job, you might be working, and you're like, oh, I don't have time to sit down and read a book, or oh, when I get home, I have chores to do, or I have, you know, a life to live, or I commute to work. Hey, all of those are times when you could turn on an audiobook. If you're someone who already has like a Spotify premium subscription, there are a lot of audiobooks on there. Literally just search, and there's so many audiobooks that you can use. Or if you're not on Libby is an app that you can use that you connect to your library card that lets you borrow audiobooks and ebooks from the library. So there are so many ways that you can get audiobooks for free without having to pay for them, because audiobooks are expensive. But You can listen to audiobooks, and that's a great way to sort of tiptoe into consuming book content without having to sit down and read something. Me being so much more ADHD than I feel like I was as a child, listening to audiobooks was such a huge way to sort of get me back into the mindset of consuming stories in that way that it really helped. Like once I started like listening to a lot of audiobooks while I was like playing spreadsheet freeze tag for work or something like that, where I would normally listen to music, instead I put on an audiobook. It really sort of got me back into reading that way. And eventually I wanted to pick up like actual books, because listening to an audiobook is, for me personally, a lot slower than if I just read it. My next tip is to join a book club. Now, this might be intimidating because if you join, you might feel like locked in to having to participate and read, and maybe that's not what you want. But also, that's the reason why you should do it. So this past year, I started a book club, and that has done wonders for me to make sure that I read at least one book a month, because I've locked myself into and committed myself to reading one book that I'm going to have discussion about at the end of the month with other people, my friends. And if you're someone who's like motivated by peer pressure, that's a great way to make sure that you're reading at least one book. Because honestly, by the end of the year, if you've read 12 books, that's a huge accomplishment. If the year before you read 0 books, you know what I'm saying? So I would definitely recommend joining a book club, maybe even starting a book club. If you want to join my book club, let me know. You can join. It's all virtual, run through Discord, so low stakes. But by joining a book club, you're always going to have a book that's recommended to you by whoever's running it, or if you're running it, you're submitting books for people to read. So that's a great way to just sort of like peer pressure and like lock yourself in to a commitment of reading a book each month. My next tip is don't start with a big series. So I've seen a lot of people on like TikTok and Instagram who are trying to like get back into reading. They were huge readers as a kid and now they want to get back into it. And they start with something like Throne of Glass. Now here's the thing. I love Throne of Glass. I love all of Sarah J. Maas's books. But why would you start with something as daunting as like several book series? That's insane. Or even books that have like more than 300 pages. Don't do that to yourself. Start with like a novella. Start with something that's like 200 pages or less. One of the first books that I can remember starting with was the My Happy Marriage novella books based off of that the anime is based on. And things are like 100 pages. I suggest reading something short. Pick up Animal Farm, okay? Something like that. There are thin little itty bitty teeny tiny books that get straight to the point. They don't have fluff. They don't have like world building and exposition and all this different kind of stuff that you don't need. They get right to the point. Pick it up, okay? Do that. Reading something small will feel satisfying. You'll feel accomplished, and then it'll inspire you to read something else. My last suggestion is to think about your favorite movies that are based on books and go read them. If you love Hunger Games, go read the Hunger Games book. If you love Forrest Gump, actually, no, I'm not going to suggest that. The Forrest Gump book is bad. Forrest Gump is my favorite movie, and the book is bad. For some reason, in this moment, I cannot think of any movies based on books. But if you have a favorite movie, or a movie that you like a lot that's based on a book, go read that. There's something freeing about reading a book that you already know what's going to happen. It takes a lot of the stress out and it makes the reading a lot just like chiller. It's why people reread books, to be honest. It's because they enjoyed the content and now they want to reread it without like the stress that they might get from being involved in the story. I suggest taking your favorite movie that might be based on a book and rereading it, because you know that you like the story, you know that you like the plot, and now you're consuming it in a different medium. And, you could find that you don't like reading. You could find that it's not your jam, but that's a good way to figure it out. All of this to say, there's so many ways to get into reading as an adult. Whether you read when you were in like elementary, middle, high school, whether you were a huge reader then and you fell off of it, or you've never been a reader in your life and you want to get into it. There are so many different avenues to being a bookish person, to reading a lot or listening to audiobooks a lot, that take the stress out of the situation. You see so many people on TikTok or on YouTube, Instagram, who are like, I read 1 million books this year, or realistically, I mean, my goal is 100 books, but that doesn't mean that should be your goal. My partner's goal is 24 books, 2 books a month, or 12 books a month, 6 books a month. As long as you read 1 book a year, that's progress. And so take the stress out of it and you will enjoy it a lot more. And I think that goes for anything, really. Stop worrying about it, stop stressing out about it, and just let yourself have fun. And it'll be better, and you'll enjoy yourself more. I hope anything I just said was useful and was helpful. And if you have suggestions on how you as an adult got back into reading, or how you as an older person got back into reading, I would love if you guys left them in the comments down below. I've had some of my friends reach out to me and tell me that they were huge readers as kids and are really struggling to find the time or find the energy or find the mental focus to get back into reading now. And so I would love for the comment section of this video to be filled with tips or questions or tricks that help each other figure out how to get back into being a reader, Or if you have suggestions on books that you think are a good sort of step into the world of literature for other people to read, I would love that too. So this is a short video, quick video, but like I said, I hope that there's something in it for you that will help you. Like this video if you like this video, comment, subscribe, do all of the YouTube things, and I will talk to you soon. Peace out.